is the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent Podcast, hosted by me, Kelly Donnie Upiro. This show is for growing insurance agencies looking to maximize their biggest investment, their people. Listen to the top agency performance partners clients share their story on how they boosted their performance by executing a plan. Let's head to the show. So I'm really excited to have this guest on our podcast. I've known Lisa Johnson for over 13 years. And ever since I've met Lisa, she's just been completely impressive to me. And I just love her outlook as a female insurance professional and what she sees for this industry and how she really wants to dive in deep and help other females really find their career in insurance. And we're going to dive into a lot of topics today on that today. Everything from kind of reviewing what that means, where we see some people missing the mark, and how to get back into making insurance your career. She just has this great message that your career is your power. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. You don't know if you wake up one day divorced. You don't know if you wake up one day, and never meet the right person. You don't know if you wake up one day and, decide that you want to move across the country. You will always have a home in insurance. And her message is just so inspiring. And I see so many women in insurance just kind of put their head down and say, well, it is what it is, or I'm just a service person. And if you listen to this podcast, and I mean, really listen, you are going to walk away with your shoulders back, head up, and thinking differently about the influence and power that you really have. So I've said enough. Let's kind of get on in and let Lisa tell her story. Hi, everyone. It's Kelly Donnie Upiro here, and I'm so excited today. I actually was thinking about how long I have known you, Lisa Johnson, and I think it might be 13 plus years, potentially.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Potentially more. So super excited to have a good friend of mine, Lisa Johnson here. And Lisa has had many different careers in the insurance space, and I have the pleasure of training Lisa's team right now. And she said something to me on a training that just stuck out that we were going to get to today about women and your career in insurance. And I know it's something that she's very passionate about. And so I couldn't be more excited to have you as an official guest here. So Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself, tell your insurance story to get us started? Because I think you can do it better than me.
Oh, yeah, sure. And I'm really excited to be here doing this. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So just a little bit about, me. I guess I'm like a lot of people where insurance was my default career. I was recruited out of college and joined a large department store and did their retail buyer management training program, which was really great training and great management training. It just didn't coincide with my social calendar at the time. So what a good reason to go out and look for another job, right? So I went out to embark upon a 9-to-5 job, which brought me to the Aetna Property Casualty Underwriting Training Program. And I consider that like just a stroke of luck that I happen to have ended up there because that year-long training program was second to none. Aetna was truly committed to developing people, their technical skills and underwriting. And, I was just so fortunate. I was trained in both property and casualty, and it just gave me such a strong base to my career. And then I've done about a million things since then. I've worked in excess and surplus lines. I've worked as a producer at a national brokerage firm. I was a partner in a workers' compensation consulting firm that was involved in establishing the QLMP program, and then spent several years working for one of the regional aggregators. And now here I am running an insurance agency. So pretty full scope there.
Seriously, I know. It's been amazing. And you have a background in sales and marketing. You did a ton of marketing on that front. And now here at an agency that also is owned by a carrier. So you've got all sorts of different backgrounds. And so, I know one of your passion points is, and we were just talking about this before the podcast, I always believe that this industry is run by women, but primarily owned by men. I do think that's changing. We personally have a lot of women-owned clients. But, what's kind of your philosophy on women in this insurance industry, and I want you to go totally on your soapbox right now and go for it.
I have permission to run wild here.
Yes.
I feel like women have truly, as exactly as you say, they've been the backbone of this business, but always in the background. And, I do think that's starting to change. And I think that that's a great thing. I've seen for myself over 40 years of being in this business that life certainly takes unexpected turns. And I think women see their careers secondarily to others in many cases. They sacrifice their career investment for the sake of everybody around them, which is so typical of us women. We're always taking care of everybody. And then, something happens. You never meet that person that you thought you were going to build your life with. You end
divorced.
up yeah. Your spouse dies, they're disabled, like all these different things that can happen to us. And then all of a sudden our backseat career is supposed to take care of everything. And, I've also seen women who are in a position of no power because they're dependent upon someone else. And ladies, I'm here to tell you that your career is your power and your independence. It can't be taken for granted. And, you may think of it as a job, but I'm telling you right now, you've got to change that. It's time for you to take the bull by the horns here, ladies, and get into career mode, because this is within your control. And regardless of your age or your education, you're the only one who can do it. And once you do it, no one can take it away from you. So
I think that's such a motivational message, because I know people who have gotten divorced, or I know people who have had terrible things happen to them. And then now on top of it all, they have to figure all these things out where, kind of stepping into that role of saying, hey, and this is what I love about the insurance space in careers. You could still be home every night for dinner with your family and have a kick-ass, badass career in insurance and make money and be self-sufficient and still be home every night for dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's incredibly true when we talk about agencies, because agencies tend to be open a certain set number of hours. And I think, as we were saying, and I really believe in this, anybody who walks into an insurance agency and gets a job is not going to understand our business. So whether you come from a community college background, or you come from a 4-year college background, or you are maybe a woman who had taken time off to raise children and now you're ready to jump back into the workforce, come on board. We need you. And, we're going to train you anyway. No matter what you were doing, we'll be training you. So it's a great place, and there couldn't be a better time in the insurance business to embark upon this career, because we're having the giant sucking sound of all of the boomers who are retiring, and we need people. So I think it's a great opportunity.
If I can say one more thing too about getting a career in insurance, it's also relatively economy proof, right? So
yes,
it may not be the sexiest of industries.
Absolutely.
But you know what? You gotta have insurance no matter what. One way or another, you're gonna need auto insurance. You're gonna have home insurance. You're gonna have a business. You gotta have insurance. So no matter what, you are not gonna be a victim of economic booms or downturns. You're gonna have the most stable, steady career for yourself.
I completely agree with that. And if you want to make sure that there's going to be food on the table year after year and things are going to go pretty smoothly, then, this is a career that you want. And it doesn't have the sexy reputation of being on Wall Street or whatever, but it doesn't have the same level of risk. And people who think insurance is uninteresting, it's very interesting. I mean, think of everything you look at needs to be insured. And that goes from, ocean liners to people's homes and cars. I mean, aviation, there's so many aspects of insurance. In all my years, I've never been exposed to writing aviation until this year. So that was something new and different for me. And, I don't know. There's just so many directions your career can go in. I think it's a great place to be. And I think that part of the job versus career thing is where your head is at. You've got to have your head in the game. And I've always said this to people that I don't care if you're answering phones or you're, scanning things or whatever. There's a context to it. There's a context to this in our business. And if you really focus on what is that and what is this a larger piece of, you're going to go somewhere with it. It's going to be the beginning of something for you. And every single time anybody interfaces with the customer, it's huge. And people are picking up the phones all day in insurance agencies. And that is the most critical point we have, is that interaction with the customer. We've got to be there for the customer.
It's funny that you say that, because I remember being in high school and taking one of those like career job tests, like what you should be when you grow up. And it was basically like, you should do something that helps people and that you get to be around people. And like, never thought about insurance, but that's exactly what insurance does. It helps people all day long. And I think that the end of the day, everybody needs to be looking at finding the career that you might not be thinking about, because I don't think many people grew up thinking I'm going to be a dentist, but people fall into it. Just like people don't think about insurance. I think insurance finds you. You just have to keep your eyes and ears open. And
that's a good point.
You said something too about like insurance touches everything. Somebody once said to me that without insurance, there'd be no economy, because like basically insurance protects the entire economy. So if you're thinking about it from a bigger scale, you might be surprised what you find.
That's so true. And, I just think that coming to work every day and going through the motions and just thinking that, you're going to get through the day and then it's going to be over is really a miserable way to spend 35 to 40 hours a week. So I'm all about, as women, again, we've got so many things on our heads, so many people dependent upon us, but you own your career. So you get into the office, you can't really affect a lot of those things that are going on. And if you're like really into worrying, my thing is that that's just projecting negativity into the future, and you got to let that go and be where you are and commit to where you are. And if you put everything you have into working with customers, particularly, I think what you are is you're a problem solver. And that's a big piece of your job, is being a problem solver. And if you really focus on that, that's a really important role that you're playing. And I think that you can motivate yourself through working with other individuals and making their lives better. And you can motivate yourself by, yesterday I made 2 account rounds. Today's a 3-day. I'm going to make at least 3 account rounds today. And you just kind of work through different goals, and it's got to come from within. Your boss can give you this all you want, but it coming from within is really the place that I really see people who excel. And that's how I pick out people. I look at my office and I see people who are maybe, getting towards the time that they're having a change in their lives and they may want to retire or something's going to change for them. And I think of, who do I have in the stable who's going to be that next person? And the one who comes to the job every day and brings themselves. And, one of my staff was just talking about like how much she really enjoys educating people about what it is that their insurance does for them and why they need this coverage or why they should consider that. And she loved it as an educator. Well, she happened to be our number 1 salesperson because that's her, she's excited. She's into it. She's in, so I'm a big believer in that.
No, I think it's super interesting too, because in my role, I get to go to all the agencies and I can tell from the time I step in what kind of crowd we have that we work with. And you definitely see some people who arms folded, we call it bitter beer face, or like,
I love that.
Yeah. And it's just like, and I just say to them, it's like the world is happening to you and you don't realize how much influence you have over the client, influence you have over your own situation, and how you don't have to sit there and think the only thing I can do is take payments all day. And, now the agency wants me to cross sell. Now they want me to do all these things and I just want to take payments. You have to realize, and I'm going to do like a spoiler alert, agencies are reducing that low level work because there's automation and there's technology. And to have a career, you have to embrace change and you have to embrace getting better. Otherwise, we're going to be like the last blockbuster standing. And, I say that to people not to frighten them, but to say, you have a skill set. The only thing that's holding you back is your mindset. And changing that mindset could mean that you could have more fun. It could mean that you could make more money. It could mean that you could buy that fancy pocketbook you've always wanted. It could mean you could take your family on vacation. It could mean all of these things. It's that leap between where I am today to believing in yourself enough, I think, to get to that next level.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think too, if you're bored with what you're doing, well, there's two things I want to say. One is piggybacking on what you just said. Women, we have to run towards technology. Anytime there's a new technology coming into the office, and I've introduced a number of different things in our office this year, and the more you run toward it, the more you involve yourself in it, the more you adapt to it, the more valuable you are in your agency, because that's the direction we're going. And the other thing is, if you're bored, ask for more. Ask for something different. Ask for something more. Make it a dialogue with your supervisor. What else could I be doing? Or, what else does the agency need? And I'm going to tell you, in my experience in my career, the best ideas come from the people who are putting in the hours every day. It comes from the ground up. It's not me as an agency principal saying, oh, here's what we need to do. Yeah, I have some ideas, but I don't have all the ideas. You're talking to the customers every day. You probably have a whole bank of ideas that I never would have thought of because I haven't been as hands-on as you for a long time. Bring your ideas to the table. Even sometimes it comes out and it's like, nah, that's not exactly right. But you create a dialogue. And then before you know it, we're refining the edges off of that. And we're coming up with a strategy that we never would have thought of otherwise.
I wholeheartedly agree. We do get to go to some agencies where people say, I'm not a technology person. And my comeback is always, I'm not a bikini model, but I go to the gym every day. So we need you to embrace the idea that you have to get better every day. And I read the book Atomic Habits, and they talk about, if you want to become something, saying I'm not a runner means that you're giving yourself an easy out. But if you say I'm the type of person that wants to become a better runner, I'm the type of person that wants to become better at technology, it's a whole different mindset. And, for those of you, if you're holding on to the past, the glory days of insurance, this industry is moving very fast forward. And a lot of reasons it has to. And Lisa, I'm curious, I have this fear that I tell people about, that my biggest fear for this industry is we become Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Like we literally, Blockbuster could have been Netflix and they turned it down. And like, we literally well, we can't do texting, or, we can't do certain pieces of technology because we don't get buy-in. We don't see the vision. And I look at it like we could all be mini little Blockbusters if we're not careful. And I'm curious what you kind of think about that.
Well, I totally agree that, we have to have a vision for our business. We have to have a vision for ourselves. And I believe that we play a very, very important role because insurance is a technical business that nobody wants to really understand. They just want help getting what they need. And that's where the agency fits in. That's where our agents fit in, is really being that resource, being that person who can provide choices, who understands that, you may not want to go to this particular direct writer or whatever because of these reasons, and these are the things that you need to understand about your business. And that's where we can really make a difference. Like a lot of the flooding we've had recently is a perfect example. Well, insurance tends to cover water that comes down, but not water that goes up. And it's an opportunity to explain that to your customer and why maybe flood is an important consideration for them. So I feel like, and that's just one example, whether it's cyber or EPLI, or you can go on and on and on of these coverages. COVID was another one, loss of rents, or any of these different types of things that come up. And COVID was not a situation where there was much insurance coverage provided, but it does tend to have business owners thinking about things that they weren't thinking about before. And I just think that we are very valuable and we need to prove it. We cannot say to the customer, well, maybe you should call the insurance carrier about that. We cannot say that. If somebody has a claim, we can't say, let me put you through to the insurance company. You may not be the party that's going to resolve that claim, but your conduit between, the person who suffered the injury or the loss and the insurance company is a critical time for you to be there for your customer.
Hi, everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed this podcast with Lisa Johnson. I just love her energy, especially about how she feels about women in the insurance space, because I share a lot of that sentiment. I just see a lot of women who haven't fully hit their potential, and I'm something I'm really passionate about. And that's why I want to talk about our 2-year agency performance program. We're almost sold out. And for what I know, there's a lot of agencies that are great agencies, and women run the day-to-day of the operations. But maybe the agency doesn't always give them the right tools. Maybe the culture's a little low. Maybe they need this mentality in their agency that we're talking about here today. And imagine if every team member on your team thought about insurance as their career and really treated it that way. What would the difference be? We want to bring that directly to your agency. And that's why I created our 2-year program. I fully intend that we're going to sell our total 20 spots and not have any space until 2023. So if you're at all interested in this, I highly recommend that you contact us today so that we can talk about it, at least get you a little bit of an overview, see what's going on in your agency, and get a good game plan together. So back onto the podcast, but take a listen. You might think differently after seeing this podcast of what Lisa Johnson has to say and what she's got going on at her agency and how she's looking at hiring differently. And all of us should be thinking outside the box more and more as we go through this year. Anyway, let's get back to it. So one of the things I want to talk about is what are ways you think women can show up in their career, right? So let's just say I'm in an agency where everybody's insane, right? We're all kind of coming in, checking in, can you believe what they want to do next? Have us make outbound calls on renewal, or, whatever, follow up on claims. We don't have time. I'm stuck, right? I'm totally stuck. How, what things could anybody listening to this take and say, tomorrow I'm going to start showing up and make this from a job to a career? You employ a lot of females, what are some things that just stick out to you and you say, okay, that person's here for a job, this person's making it an insurance career? What do you see being the difference?
Well, I think a big part of that is people who are willing to try something new. Like our training with you, Kelly, you've brought in a lot of new ideas, and people have to change. They've got to change the way they've been handling their phone calls. And I think that people who are willing to change and people who are willing to try something new, to me, are the people who are showing up and come back with feedback. It may not have worked, right, but we either need to know how to try it and make it different, how to adapt so that it does work, or we need to, scrap it all together. It doesn't matter what any one of those are, as long as we're hearing dialogue. And the people who want to engage, the people are saying, I tried this, this is what happened. And we can critique, we can go back and say, yeah, here's another way I might have approached that. I might have taken a different turn when this person started to talk about their deductible, right, or whatever it was. So I'm looking for those people who at meetings talk. I'm looking for those people who have tried things that are new. I'm looking for those people who are willing to make suggestions. I'm looking for people who've done the work. If I see that, somebody hasn't even bothered to try something new that we're looking for, it's not only that I think about, they're just showing up. It's also that I think of, do they fit here? Because I'm not looking to have a staff that just does what they're supposed to do. I'm looking to have the best staff. I'm looking to have a staff that is excited to be a part of what it is we're trying to deliver. And if I have somebody who's just punching the clock, it's not really what I want.
Yeah, I think that you're very accurate on that front. And then to me, a couple other things that come in is just general attitude and like, how do you present yourself? I think like, hey, showing up and being professional. I don't think you need to be dressed to the nines, but like you have to be professional. And that doesn't know, like you said, you don't need a 3-piece suit, but just show up and be professional. I think another thing that shows me it's like if it's a job or if it's a career is that you are looking at whatever the agency is doing as an investment in you versus something happening to you, right? Like, oh my gosh, we're changing management systems. Well, this is an investment. There's obviously a reason. Let me work through it. And I also think that another thing to show up in your career too is not be terrified of the word sales. For much of insurance, somebody is calling us asking for a quote. That to me is not sales. Like cross-selling, that to me is not sales. It's a version of sales, but it is not grind the pavement, beat down doors, find someone who needs insurance. These are very warm people who have asked for our help, and we need to step up to that plate. But that sales word gets people tripped up quite significantly. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, and I don't like the assumption of it at all. Because I think the reason people hate it is that they feel like now I'm shoving something down someone's throat.
I'm selling ice to an Eskimo.
I don't like that at all because as a customer, I'm not an insurance professional. I don't know what's available. I don't know what I need. And you cannot assume that person doesn't want coverage on something. I'll use what we use internally. What I use with our team is the ice cream analogy. I feel like when direct writers offer more like a scoop of vanilla, and I feel like there are agencies that are only, offer chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. At our agency, we offer every flavor. And that's how I feel is that the customer, well, that's all they've ever seen is vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. So you might have somebody who wants, the cookies and cream with rainbow sprinkles. We've got it.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to know that if we're not sharing with them? And I think it's incumbent upon us as decent service people to look at what does this customer have and what is it that they might need? Do they have a young driver? Do they have a swimming pool? I mean, there's any number of things that ought to trigger in your mind. This person should really be thinking about an umbrella.
Yeah.
They want to cover the things that they've worked so hard for. And that's our job, is to help with that. And my other thing is always like, no is an indication of long-term interest. If someone says, no, I don't want an umbrella, then that's perfectly fine. It's okay to say no. No is a perfectly reasonable answer. That just means I'll ask you again later, because people's circumstances change all the time. There was somebody down the street who had an unfortunate accident with their swimming pool. Okay, that now has me thinking that, I should really get that umbrella. And every week I'm thinking, I should really get that umbrella. And so I'm counting on when I call up my agency because my auto's renewing, that they're going to mention that umbrella to me. It's going to sound a lot better to me now that I know somebody who's had a need for it.
Yeah. And I think that goes into how you view your job, right? Like job or career. Do I view my job as I am here to help somebody, or do I view my job as I'm here to do a transaction? Lisa needs to change a vehicle. I change a vehicle. I don't talk about gap coverage. I don't talk about if I want to increase auto liability. I just change the vehicle. And for people out there listening, I really want to encourage you. Your job is not about tasks. It's about outcomes. And a lot of technology turned our jobs from an outcome to a task for automation. And now we need to turn it back into an outcome and thinking about that person. And sometimes I say to people, hey, if you went to the doctor and it was all about a task, well, check, you need this, check, you need this. And they weren't listening to you. How do you feel? you feel terrible, right? And so we need to start listening, I think, more to our clients and being advisors and being less transactional in order to really make sure we don't become Blockbuster.
Yeah, I think it's all about the customer. And it's all about treating that customer the way you'd want to be treated. It's all about having their backs. They want to know you have their backs. They want to know that when they're on the phone with Encharter Insurance or they're in the office of Encharter Insurance, that we're there to take care of them. You want to be able to drop everything and put it in your insurance agent's lap to take care of it. And I'm all about that. That's who we have to be. And, if somebody doesn't want something, that's perfectly fine. We're not there to jam anything down anyone's throat. We're just there to help them understand how to better protect themselves.
Yeah. And so, one thing that you said to me very early on when I first met you, and I'm excited to get to talk to you about this live on the podcast airwaves, which is the girls.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you tell it, because the second you said to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am never using that term again. And I was just as much of a victim to some degree of that situation. It was just kind of come flying out of my mouth. And the second you said to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm over this. I can never say this again. And I've made massive modifications, Lisa. So can you explain your philosophy on the girls?
Yeah, I can, because it's one of my pet peeves. And I do think that, in some agencies, it's almost used as a term of endearment. It's not meant to be a slight necessarily. However, I haven't heard a lot of, let's see what the boys have to say, or, let me give it back to one of the boys in the office. I feel like it's patronizing at best. And it's easily recognizable as old thinking,
right?
Which is not where you want your clients and your prospects to be slotting you. So outside of our industry, I think when someone hears an agent refer to the girls, they're conjuring up images of the green uniforms, the beanies, the sash, the selling cookies. And that's just not the reality of it. The reality of it is you're describing licensed technical professionals with years of experience, with a boatload of knowledge, and they're pretty much the glue that holds the agency together. So let's call them what they are. They're licensed professionals. You can refer to them as our technical team, our personal lines, our commercial lines experts, or account executives. There's a lot of ways you can refer to, the people who are doing the work, but they should convey that you are talking about the professionals, and they should convey to the customer that they're in the best possible hands, that they are, going to be cared for by knowledgeable professional people. They're not coming to an independent agency. A customer doesn't come to an independent agency so they can have a girl determine how to adequately protect their most valuable assets. The girl term diminishes the professionalism. It reflects badly on the person saying it. And it's not a good way to, project your agency at all. As I said, it just screams old thinking.
Well, I also think too, it's like, imagine if you said, oh, I'll send it to one of the boys, the producers. It would be so awkward.
Yeah.
Like super awkward.
Yeah.
And then I also think if you're an agency owner listening to this, you need to catch yourself and realize if you want your team to think career minded and you keep calling them the girls, you're putting a roadblock in between them, because when you say that, that's how you think of them. The girls will handle it. Oh, the girls, even if you say ladies, it's still not appropriate. It's, my licensed account management team will handle this for you. That sends a different message to the customer. When I think about like the girls will handle it, I think of like someone smoking a cigarette that was like a telephone operator back in the day.
A typing pool.
Yeah.
Like madman, the typing pool.
Yeah. And, I also think it stops potentially like the idea that like men can be account managers, like they can go and it doesn't have to be a female job. It's not just administrative or clerical, which is like the stereotypical, like, oh, the girls do that job, which I don't agree with, but I think that there's some things inside of offices that need to develop into 2021 that you might not be noticing it, but it's probably holding back your culture too.
Yeah. Elevate your agency into
Mhm.
this decade at least.
Well, and also the role, especially in personal lines, has changed, and a CSR used to just assist an agent, but now they're running full multi-million-dollar books of business. They're no longer assisting anybody. They're everything. And
in our agency, that's the face of our agency is that professional licensed agent that's interacting with the customer. That's everything to us.
yeah.
That is who is securing our business.
Yeah, and that's where the world's changed, but maybe our verbiage hasn't quite yet changed.
We need to just catch up.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
So, along the same lines, I know, I believe that your agency is looking for people. Is that correct?
Oh, always. We're always looking for good people. Always.
And we have had luck, Lisa, of some matchmaking of people on this podcast. One, Vanessa Kimball down in Texas, had a loyal listener actually reach out to her because that person was actually moving to Texas and made a big connection. So if anybody's interested out there, and tell us a little bit about what kind of opportunities you have and how they can look into those.
Oh, okay. Well, we are looking for fantastic customer-oriented personal lines people and commercial lines people. And again, I just want to say, we also need some administrative people. We have 4 of our upper level people who are people who started as a receptionist. So we really believe that receptionist position is a gateway position. And one of the first things we want to do after they've been there about 6 months is get those people licensed, because we'll keep filling that position as a receptionist and we'll keep getting you licensed and we'll keep mentoring you. So that is, that's a great way to start if you don't have any insurance skills. And if you do have insurance skills, we'd love to talk to you. I have to say, we are an in-office business because we do get probably 20 people that walk in a day, believe it or not. So we need people in our Amherst office and our Lexington office, and we'd love to get some new folks in that we can mentor and help you develop your career and have you feel fulfilled in what it's like to come to work every day and be a part of the solutions we're driving home to people.
And for those of you who don't know, she's speaking about Massachusetts. So Amherst, Massachusetts and Lexington, Massachusetts. So if anybody's out there, and I love what Lisa said too, because maybe listening, you're happy at your agency, but maybe you have a friend who is interested in getting into insurance. And what Lisa just said is that this agency is willing to mentor and train, and they are not scared of that, leap to getting into something new. Which I think is amazing and probably puts a lot of people at ease to kind of come into this business.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few people on my staff right now that I have earmarked for bigger positions. So I really want to mention that that's really important as agency principals, that we're picking out those people who have more potential and making sure that we're developing them all the time, whether it's a lunch and learn or encouraging them to get another type of license or to get a designation. Those designations in our industry are important, and it's a great way to learn a lot and provide incentives for people to do those things so that we are constantly moving the professionalism of our people along.
Absolutely. And I will say this, the biggest thing I took out of this podcast, Lisa, and I'm grateful that you were able to come on too, is just, I'm hopeful that the women out there that are listening to this stop, take a deep breath, put their shoulders back and say, you know what, this is a great career and I'm going to make this decision today to make this a career. And if you've been treating it like a job, I want to say there's no fault, there's no blame, but today can be the first day that you change that. And that can change everything in your whole life, because you don't know what's going to come up ahead. And if you are successful in this space, you can literally do anything, because for many agencies, there's performance-based pay, there's incentives, or there's commission, and you literally can make unlimited income if you get really good at it and just change your mindset. So for people out there that might be struggling, I just want to really encourage you that the struggle could be easily fixed by putting in just a little bit more of yourself into your position and really making it a career. And I wonder if you have any final thoughts for the women out there that might be listening.
The biggest thing is that it's you. You've got to make the decision that this is what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And if you start working with your agency principal and establishing with them that you want to excel, they can help you determine what might be a good path to do that. So go for it, because it is, let's say it again, it's your power, it's your independence, and you own it. So it's worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. For all of the loyal listeners out there, we'll have information on Lisa's company, Encharter, in the show notes. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, she'll be out there. But thank you so much for being a part of this today.
Thank you so much. I loved it. And I'm always happy to share with other agency principals. And this was a great opportunity to let people know, how much fun we can have growing in our careers and all the work you've done to help us grow at our agency. So.
Well, I also think too, we have fun in our careers. There's cool people in insurance.
We have fun in our careers. Totally.
We're cool.
Yeah.
I always think most of my friends are in insurance. I don't know what other people do anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. And Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Take care.
All right. Wow. What did you think about that? I'm just so fired up that I want to just take all the insurance females I know and say, let's do this. Let's make this our career. Small changes go a long way, and all of us have it inside of us to hit our total potential. That's one of my missions in life, is saying, when people say, what's your why? I struggled with that for so long because I don't have kids. I've got a great husband. I've got a great dog. I've got a great life. But so many people say they're kids. And mine isn't that, because I don't have them. Mine is hitting my potential. I would be so disappointed in myself if I woke up, and I'm 85 and I just never hit my potential because I kept myself small or kept kind of giving all of myself to everybody else, which Lisa talked about today. So this was completely motivational and inspiring to me, and I hope you feel the same way. If you have any questions, let us know. But this wraps up another Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent podcast. And we'll see you in our next one.